Jet. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you've been following the whirlwind that is Sister Wives, you know there's one relationship that has always been the ultimate puzzle. Kody and Robyn. For years, they were the forever couple, the last ones standing after the storm. But lately, something's shifted. The smiles are cracking, and those little whispers, those knowing glances, tell us one thing. Robyn Brown has hit her breaking point. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, oh, just more reality TV drama, hear me out. What's happening in Flagstaff isn't just another marital spat. It feels like the undoing of a promise that defined their entire world. It all started subtly, with Kody doing something he never used to do. He went silent. For a man who always needed the camera to feel heard, that silence was absolutely deafening. And Robyn, oh, she sensed it immediately. The eye contact grew shorter, the laughter disappeared. The man who once called her his safe place now seemed miles away. And no, I'm not talking about another woman, at least not in the way you might think, because Kody's new obsession wasn't romantic, it was about control. He was letting go of everything, the family, the show, even his own persona. And in a desperate attempt to hold on to something, he started pulling tighter on the one person left in his world. Robyn. But here's the unexpected twist, she didn't let him. For the first time, the wife who always defended him, who took every bullet in every interview, just stopped playing his game. And the instant she did, everything changed. I know what many of you are thinking. Isn't Robyn the favorite? The one who always backed him up? Exactly. Hey. And that's precisely why this moment is so shocking. The thing is, Robyn's loyalty was never blind. She truly believed in the plural marriage dream, the togetherness, the spiritual connection, the family heritage. But what she got in return was loneliness, bitterness, and a husband who no longer believed in the very things he preached. Somewhere amidst the constant moves, the superficial smiles, and Kody's desperate need to prove he wasn't a loser husband, Robyn discovered a crushing truth. She could no longer trust him. We're about to dive deep into how it all went down. The quiet talks, the clandestine phone calls, the moments that never made it to air. Because trust me, once you hear this, you'll never see Robyn and Kody the same way again. But before we get to the moment it all crumbled, let's understand why trust was so absolutely vital to Robyn. When you grasp that, you'll understand just how deeply this betrayal cut. Pay close attention, not just to the confessionals, but to the moments in between. You'll start to see it. That fleeting instant when Robyn's smile does unquite reach her eyes. She'd wore that smile for years like a shield, through every furious tirade, every family breakup, every cringeworthy group gathering. She paraded it like a badge of honor, the perfect wife, the empathetic one, the peacemaker. But behind that glossy composure was something the cameras couldn't quite capture: exhaustion. Because by season 20, Robyn wasn't just tired of defending Kody, she was tired of defending a man who had stopped defending her. Let's rewind for a second. After Christine left, after Janelle's confrontational exit, and after Mary's quiet fade into the background, Robyn truly believed that she and Kody would finally find peace. No more jealousy, no more competition, no more silent wars over affection. Just them, building the family Kody had always claimed he wanted. But that's not what happened. When the dust settled, Kody didn't find peace. He found emptiness. And instead of healing, he started blaming. First, the other wives, then the show, and then Robyn. The very same woman who stuck by him through every controversy, who defended his every word, suddenly became the scapegoat for everything wrong in his life. And here's the craziest part. He didn't even seem to realize he was doing it. You can see it in those notorious couch confessionals, the veiled jabs, the backhanded compliments. It's tough on me too, he'd say. I feel betrayed by everybody. Everybody, including Robyn, even though she was the one who never left. Now, let's be real. Robyn isn't a saint. There were times she played the part a little too much. Times fans rolled their eyes at her crying. But here's the crucial point. Behind those tears was a woman slowly realizing that the man she built her life around was changing, and not for the better. There's a story, one that didn't make it into the episode edits. About a quiet evening the two shared at their Flagstaff home. No cameras, no producers, just them. And for the first time, Robyn was completely honest with him. She looked at him and said, "You don't look at me the same anymore." And Kody, the man who always had an answer for everything, just sat there staring at his plate. That same deafening silence that had been insidiously creeping between them for months. And that's when it hit her. It wasn't about plural marriage. It wasn't about loyalty. It was about trust, and she felt it slipping away with each unspoken word. Because trust doesn't shatter in one instant. It creaks, slowly, under the pressure of secrets, pride, and the lies we tell ourselves to keep love alive. And Robyn. She'd been patching up those cracks for years. Until, one day, the glue just gave out. More. In our next segment, we'll talk about the day the glue finally cracked. And how one phone call changed everything between them. It's funny, isn't it, how the smallest moments, a call, a glance, a hesitation, can completely reshape everything. For Robyn Brown, it happened on a mellow Tuesday afternoon. The cameras weren't rolling, the house was quiet. Kody was outside, pacing back and forth in the Arizona sun, his phone pressed to his ear, and Robyn could hear it, even from inside. The stress in his voice, the sharp cadence, the way he pronounced a name. It wasn't another wife. It wasn't a producer. It was his son. Now, Kody's relationship with his older kids had been strained for years. Distance, misunderstandings, stubborn pride. But this call, this was different. Because Robyn heard words that made her stomach drop. "You chose her, Dad." That sentence, sharp, raw, unfiltered, cut through the quiet like glass. And Kody's response, not denial, not apology, just silence. Then, the line that would echo in Robyn's head for weeks, "You made us lose Mum for her. Now hold on. If you know Robyn, you know she's not the type to eavesdrop." Port. In that moment, she didn't have to. The words were audible enough to travel over the walls. And over the years of guilt that had been accumulating since Christine and Janelle moved away. And here's where it gets truly ugly. When Kody finally walked back inside, shoulders rigid, jaw tight, he didn't mention the call. He just sat down, scrolled on his phone, and pretended nothing had happened. But Robyn sensed the shift, again. This wasn't about the kids anymore, this was about loyalty. Because when Kody chose silence over truth, Robyn realized she wasn't his partner, she was his shield. She had endured the social media hate, the fan criticism, the burden of being the favorite for all these years. She thought she was shielding him, but what she was actually doing was concealing the truth. And the truth is this, Kody was furious. Not at his kids, not at the wives who left, but at himself. And Robyn was the easiest target for that rage, because she was the only one left. She tried to talk to him that night. She whispered, "You can't shut them out forever, Kody." He glanced up, eyes cold, distant, and replied, "They made their choice." And right there, in that moment, Robyn saw something she had never seen before. Not in all their years, not in the tears or the yelling, she saw a man she didn't know. Because that's how trust can truly die. Not through deception. Not through deceit. But in the silent moment when someone you love simply gives up. And that's when Robyn knew, this wasn't just a phase. This was the beginning of the end, the gradual, quiet disintegration of the connection that once made her feel special. But first came one final push, one last attempt to save what was already lost. And it began with a confession Robyn never intended to make. There are times when silence weighs heavier than the truth. For Robyn, it was late one night, when the cameras were gone and there was no one left to perform for. It was near midnight. The Flagstaff house was quiet, too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you listen to your own heartbeat. Kody had been pacing in his office for hours, mumbling, ranting, replaying past arguments over and over in his mind. Robyn walked in, holding a cup of chamomile tea. Her hands were shaking. Not from fear, but from the weight of knowing. She'd been keeping something from him, something she thought would protect him, until it started poisoning her instead. And so she said it. Plain, simple. No build-up. "Kody, I've been talking to Christine." Pause for dramatic effect. His head snapped up, eyes wide, disbelief etched on his face like a storm. "You what?" Robyn nodded, almost whispering. She contacted me months ago, just to talk. Not about you, about everything. About what happened, and, for the first time in years, Kody didn't yell. He just stared, vacant, empty, like the world had shifted beneath his feet. To Kody, that was the ultimate betrayal. Not because Robyn had done anything inappropriate, but because, in his mind, Christine was the enemy, and enemies weren't supposed to be forgiven. But Robyn, she wasn't trying to take sides anymore. She was trying to survive. She whispered softly. She told me she forgives you, Kody, even if you never say sorry. That was all. That was the moment everything shattered. Because Kody didn't hear forgiveness. He heard defeat. He heard another reminder that Christine had moved on blissfully, while he remained mired in his anger. He got up, pushed the chair back so forcefully it scraped the floor. And then he uttered words Robyn would never forget. I don't need her forgiveness. I didn't do anything wrong. And right there, Robyn saw it, the wall she could never climb again. That night, he slept on the couch. No argument, no yelling, just quiet. The kind of silence that shatters a home long before anyone inside will ever admit it. For the rest of the days that followed, Kody barely spoke to her. Would leave early, return late, retreat into his phone. And when he did say something, his tone was short, practiced like a man trying desperately to convince himself he was okay. But Robyn wasn't okay. Because what she'd experienced on that call with Christine wasn't guilt. It was peace. And that scared her. Christine had spoken a few words that kept looping in her mind. You can love him, Robyn, but you don't have to lose yourself to do it. And that when Robyn knew something she'd been in denial about for years. She had lost herself in defending Kody, in being the good wife, in hoping her commitment would somehow fix what was already broken. But here's the twist, that admission. It didn't dissolve the marriage immediately. It simply revealed the truth hidden underneath. Because although Kody was angry, a part of him also understood that Robyn wasn't lying anymore. And perhaps, just perhaps, he valued her honesty more than her silence. What Robyn didn't realize, though, was that this small act of truth would trigger a chain reaction, one that would unravel everything quicker than either of them had ever imagined. Because Christine wasn't alone in reaching out. Someone else had been waiting, watching, and was about to make contact. They say silence can be serene, but when it lingers too long between two people, it's war. 3 days had passed since the confession. No words, no texts, no even looking at each other. Only the rumble of the refrigerator, the creaks of footsteps in the hallway, and the eerie reverberation of I don't trust you anymore. Kody had retreated into his own universe. Midnight hours in the garage, non-stop phone calls, scrolling through memories of a family that once was. Robyn. She remained silent. Not from fear, but from sheer exhaustion. She'd said all she could, and for once, today, she wasn't going to chase him. But here's the thing with silence, it always breaks. And when it does, it never rings in your ears the way you expect. That night, that Friday night, the producers arrived. They were doing pickup scenes for season 20. Cameras came in, mics were clipped on, lights flared, and suddenly, their private pain was no longer private. Kody descended the stairs with that rehearsed smile, the one fans knew, the one that screamed, everything's okay, we're happy. Robyn was not playing along this time though. When the director said, can we discuss the move? She gazed directly into
it. All right, let's dive into this wild ride. Get ready, because what you're about to hear is going to change everything you thought you knew. So remember that on-camera meltdown, the one that left everyone speechless. Well, something shifted in Robyn that day. She didn't yell, she didn't pack her bags. Instead, she started thinking, and that, my friends, is when the real transformation began. Kody, true to form, stayed aloof for weeks. Guest room, his new home. Long drives, his escape. The house fell silent, but it wasn't the old silence. This was different. This silence was strategic. Robyn wasn't backing down anymore. She was watching, and here's the thing about Robyn. She's far brighter than most people give her credit for. Everyone called her the manipulator, the favorite, the mastermind. But what they missed was her keen observation skills. She saw everything. The late-night phone calls, Kody watching old videos of him with his wives almost obsessively, and that chilling phrase he kept repeating, "They'll regret leaving me." That's when it clicked for Robyn. He wasn't planning to rebuild, he was planning to rewrite, to cast himself as the tragic hero in his own story. So Robyn did what she does best. She observed and she waited. She started saving things, texts, emails, even old footage that never aired. Not to expose him to the public, at least not yet, but to protect herself. Because for the very first time in her life, Robyn was genuinely afraid of what Kody might do when those cameras finally stopped rolling. Then came the moment that crystallized everything for her. It was a peaceful Sunday morning. Kody was chatting with a neighbor, a producer who'd been with the show since day one. And Robyn, without meaning to, overheard him say, clear as day, "If she turns on me too, I'll end the show myself." Those words echoed in her head like a warning bell, loud and clear. This wasn't a marriage anymore. It was a narrative, a story with a looming deadline, and she was the only one still playing her role. That very evening, Robyn did something astonishing. She called someone she hadn't spoken to in months. Christine, nobody knows exactly what was said on that call, but we do know this. Robyn wept. Christine listened, and by the end there was a quiet peace, a sense of understanding that hadn't existed between them in years. It wasn't really forgiveness, it was a profound, shared understanding. Because now, Christine wasn't alone in feeling that deep loss of faith in Kody Brown. After that incredibly powerful phone call, Robyn meticulously crafted her plan. It wasn't about escaping, and it certainly wasn't about revenge. It was simply a path to peace. She decided she would honor her contract for the show. She would see this season through, no matter how difficult it became. And when the very last camera finally cut off, she would leave. She documented every single thought, every decision, in a journal, the one she kept hidden in the drawer beside her bed. Inside, among countless other thoughts, were letters she never intended anyone to see. One sentence, in particular, stood out, heartbreakingly raw and honest. "I still love him, but I don't believe in him anymore." That simple human sentence was the most truthful thing she had ever written, because love without trust is like a house built on sand, and in Flagstaff, the ground beneath them was already beginning to crack under the strain. What Robyn didn't know was that Kody had his own plan brewing. And his plan wasn't about repairing anything. It was solely about control. Some people fight to save a marriage. Others, like Kody, fight to control the narrative. After weeks of that unsettling silence, Kody suddenly snapped back into motion. Not with apologies, not with a desire for change, but with a calculated strategy. He called the producers and declared he wanted to restructure the narrative. His words, not mine. He insisted, "We're not filming enough of my perspective." And just like that, the cameras that had once focused on the family collectively slowly began to turn solely toward him. He resumed filming those long, emotional, and meticulously worded single interviews. You could practically see the calculation behind every single line, the scrunched brows, the dramatic sighs, the forced half smiles. Kody wasn't trying to rehabilitate his image with Robyn. He was trying to rehabilitate it with the public. He spoke at length about betrayal, about being deeply misunderstood, about how even the woman I thought would stand by me forever had become distant. And yet he never once said her name. That deliberate omission, that silent erasure, hurt Robyn more deeply than any open fight ever could have. Because for her, the message was painfully clear. Kody was crafting a reality where she was just another ex-wife in waiting, ready to be scapegoated. Then came the real punchline. Kody began subtly dropping hints about a brand new production. A spin-off show, a documentary about the truth behind plural marriage. He even had a title, The Real Story. And in his pitch sessions, he never ever said a word about Robyn. Robyn actually found out about this through a crew member, someone who had worked with them for more than 10 years, the same individual who had videotaped her wedding, the same person who used to affectionately call her the heart of the family. When that phone call happened, Robyn didn't scream. She didn't sob. She simply stated, in a low, resigned voice, "Of course he did." Because deep inside, she knew this was his desperate attempt to seize back control by redefining history before she ever could. That evening, the arguments began again. Not about the past, but fiercely about their future. Kody accused her of conspiring with the rest of them. Robyn calmly explained that she was no longer going to cover for his fabrications. He claimed she was making him look bad. She simply informed him that he was perfectly capable of doing that all on his own. It was merciless. Cutting words, tears, long agonizing silences. And finally, the line that absolutely shattered what little was left of their fragile peace. Kody declared, "You were supposed to be my last believer." And Robyn, with a quiet strength that surprised even herself, replied, "I still believe in love. Just not in yours." That was it. No yelling, no dramatic storming out. Just two individuals standing over the rubble of a dream they had both meticulously constructed and ultimately helped to disassemble together. And when the cameras returned the very next morning, you could see it in her eyes. The emptiness, the profound weariness, but also the still strength of someone who has already said goodbye, even if she hadn't physically left yet. But what Robyn didn't know was that her goodbye was about to be severely tested. Because the network had one more request, a last explosive reunion episode. And Kody, of course, had something planned for that as well. Every ending needs a stage. And for Kody and Robyn, that stage was this reunion. when the network announced a final tell-all special for the season. Viewers probably assumed it would be the usual fearsome tears, a few cringy laughs, perhaps a couple of passive-aggressive admissions. Not this time, because this reunion wasn't about closure, it was entirely about control. Behind the scenes, Kody had already been deeply involved in negotiations with the producers. He informed them, unequivocally, that he wanted to set the record straight, that he absolutely must have his truth told. And the producers, they smelled ratings. They had no idea, or perhaps they simply didn't care, that they were unwittingly laying a trap. A trap specifically for Robyn. Robyn, for her part, did not want to do it. She begged to avoid it, told them she needed space, that her family wasn't ready for another public spectacle. But the deal was done. If she didn't show up, they would sue. So, with a heavy heart, she agreed. One more scene, one more performance. But this time, she was not playing her usual part. The day of the shoot, Robyn arrived late. No glam squad, no jewelry, just jeans and a plain sweater, the kind of outfit that quietly screams, "I don't need to prove myself anymore." Kody, however, arrived dressed for battle, new haircut, an impeccably ironed shirt, and that old smirk always hovering halfway between charming and vicious. From the very first question, it was clear this wasn't going to be a typical reunion. The episode exploded. Thousands of comments flooded social media, and one headline trended for days. Robyn finally breaks her silence. For the first time in years, the public wasn't against her. They referred to her as brave, honest, even the real victim. But as fans were cheering for Robyn, Kody was seething. He replayed that reunion not once, not twice, but 5 times, studying every glance, every inflection, every single response. And when he saw the outpouring of sympathy for Robyn, something inside him snapped irrevocably. He phoned the network the very next morning, demanded that his side of the story be aired immediately. He complained bitterly that the edit was unbalanced, that Robyn was being unfairly cast as the victim. And when they refused to redo the episode, he completely went off the rails. Kody arranged a sit-down with a podcast one not sponsored by TLC for more than an hour. He absolutely vented. He ranted about Robyn's emotional manipulation, how she used tears to gain sympathy, and how the show itself ruined his marriage. It was raw. It was angry, and it was all over the internet within hours. Rapid-fire phone notifications pinged around the world. Clips from the podcast surfaced on social media like wildfire. News websites covered it extensively. Fans argued, analyzed, and furiously took sides. But what most people didn't know was that Robyn learned of it not through the network, but through her son. He texted her a link with just 3 chilling words. "Mom, he's lying." She didn't click on it immediately. She sat there in silence, staring at the message, her hands trembling. Because deep down, she already knew exactly what she'd discover. When she finally played it back, her worst nightmares came to life. Kody wasn't just defending himself. He was actively reframing her. Her kindness became strategy. Her sadness became drama. Her silence, he labeled it punishment. That was the heartbreaking moment Robyn truly understood the man she had once shielded from the world was now actively using the world against her. She shut down her phone, drew her blinds, and for days she vanished. No posts, no interviews, no appearances. The network frantically tried to contact her. So did friends. So did fans. But she was gone, and while the internet theorized wildly about what had occurred, Kody was still speaking, still doing interviews, still relentlessly fueling the fire. Because for him, attention was like oxygen. Each new headline kept him breathing. Each fresh scandal bought him more time. And as Robyn fell into an impenetrable silence, Kody's version of the story took complete control. But then a single unassuming photo turned everything upside down. Someone caught Robyn at a tiny diner just outside Flagstaff. No makeup, no cameras. Just her, a worn notebook, and a producer from the early seasons, the one she trusted most in the world. The photo surfaced on Reddit that very same evening, and eagle-eyed fans immediately caught one crucial detail. The notebook wasn't empty, it was packed. Rumors began flying fast and furious. Was Robyn writing a memoir? A powerful statement? A law? No one was certain, but the title scribbled at the very top of that notebook contained only one resonant word: truth. They say truth will set you free. But for Robyn, the truth was the very thing that had bound her for so long. Days went by, then weeks. No one had laid eyes on her until a freezing morning when a mysterious Instagram post surfaced. No caption, no hashtag, just an image. One single page from her notebook. Zoom in and you'd notice the handwriting trembly, yes, but undeniably purposeful. The words were haunting when you realize love was never about faith, only control. The internet went absolutely haywire. Who was she speaking of? Was it Kody? Was she speaking about the church? Or was it about all of us, the viewers, who continued to watch her suffering unravel like a cruel spectacle? Theories abounded on Reddit. Fan sites furiously translated her speech. All the podcasts speculated wildly. And then Kody himself replied live in front of the cameras. He declared, with a strained tone, Robyn's emotional right now. She's being manipulated. People love seeing me as the villain. But his eyes, they told a very different story. You could see it, the involuntary jerk of his jaw, the strained swallow after each carefully chosen sentence. He wasn't protecting himself. He was scared, because if that notebook was what fans believed it was, didn't just contain secrets. It contained irrefutable evidence. Everything he believed was deleted, wasn't. And Robyn had duplicates. According to one source, she had been secretly gathering it all for months. Every threat, every contradiction, every single broken vow. Not for revenge, not for glory, but for sheer absolute survival. Producers finally met Robyn one night at a secluded cabin in Flagstaff. No lights, No crew. Just her, this powerful notebook, and a single camera. They say she talked for 7 consecutive hours. No breaks, no cuts. Just truth raw, unfiltered, undeniable. And then she said something that made everyone in that room stop cold. You can't share your life with someone who edits your story.